Well, go ahead and put it in the comment section. You guys were right. Jalen Ramsey will not be a Detroit Lion. He instead will be a Miami Dolphin. So go ahead, put it in the comment section, because if this was not the case and he was going to be a Detroit Lion, this video would be a lot different, at least the beginning. Jalen Ramsey will be a Miami Dolphin. The Miami Dolphins will give the LA Rams, who Les Snead said something the other day, so don't believe anything he says, a 2023 third-round pick, a tight end who I didn't even know who he was, Hunter Long, and a fully guaranteed 2-year deal for $39 million. So that averages to, what, $18.5 million for the next 2 years. These are the two reasons, that there, and the Dolphins were labeled as Ramsey's preferred destination. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple things, but the Lions were, according to sources, one of the teams that were interested. So here's what I think happened. So even though I was wrong, I hate being wrong. I would have loved to be right in this situation, because there are not many people that are willing to stand out on a ledge and say what they want and say what they think is going to happen. So even though we didn't get him, and I could say I was some right? You know, it's nothing like being right. You want to be 100% right, but nobody's ever 100% right. But that's okay, though. I can take it. This tells me that the Detroit Lions they're being aggressive, but Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are not going to break the bank. They're not going to ruin this team. And I don't think that the $18 million would have ruined this team, but we only have $22 million in cap space right now. That would have hit, Jalen Ramsey would have hit 18.5, right? So we would, with free agency starting tomorrow, essentially, we didn't have time to rework anything. We would have had to restructure. So could it have been that? Could it have been, the bottom line is he's not here. So, that sucks. But could it have been that we didn't have enough time to rework anything? Or at the same time, maybe if the Lions really wanted him, they would have reworked some stuff earlier. I don't know. Just came out that Daron Payne will be a Washington Commander for the next 4 years. So he is off the list for years to come. By the time he comes off the list, we probably won't want him anymore. So this is, of course, I wouldn't have minded. If Jalen Ramsey would have been on this team, I think that would have been fantastic. Even at 29, I think he would have been great. He would have been light years better than what we have. But now we have to move to free agency. We have to move to maybe a Dean, maybe a Cam Sutton. Maybe we make a move worth 2 cents in free agency. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Maybe we draft someone. I'm starting to believe now that the Detroit Lions may not draft a corner as high as we think. I mean, because I'm thinking like, okay, if Will Anderson is there, and some of y'all want Jalen Carter, but if Will Anderson is there at 6, that's who I take, right? And I'm really leaning toward Bijan. Even if if the Lions, let's say everybody thinks that he's going to be off the board in the first round, and he probably will. There's no doubt about it. And 18 is a lot lower than Saquon Barkley. But if he's there, I feel like those are the two guys we take, especially with what's coming out with Jamal Williams, that there are several teams that are courting him. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Denver Broncos, they're trying to snatch him away. So, man, I think I'm more irritated at the fact that Micah Parsons, now he gets to come back and say, I told you didn't nobody want to come to Detroit. So the thing that, but it's not even that he's not on the team, or I hate being wrong, but, I can take it. The thing that bugs me is the preferred destination. This right here, the quote-unquote preferred destination, along with Micah Parsons' comments. And my thing is this. If you don't want to be a Detroit Lion, we don't want you a Detroit Lion. That's it. I rep my city hard. I am very protective of my city. And if you don't want to be here, then that's fine. And Jalen chose money, right? He chose money over, because I know our deal. We had that deal, the draft capital. Tell me y'all wouldn't have taken that deal. 77, and we give them Zane Zylstra or Brock Wright for Jalen Ramsey, but it was the $18 million that we didn't have. But Brad Holmes is not going to cripple this team. He's not. He couldn't. If it was down to the $18 million, right? And we have 18 million would have hit the cap. We would have had 3.5 to start free agency tomorrow. And we don't have that. Brad Holmes made a decision that was not going to hurt the team in the long run. Now, if this was a week ago or something like that and he had time to restructure, things like that, then maybe this is a different conversation. But at least this tells you that Brad Holmes would not cripple the team. Like, I knew that, and if that meant that we miss out on Jalen Ramsey or another, he will spend money. He will do that, but he's not going to cripple the team. So Brad Holmes made the decision. I'm sure it was a tough one to know that, these websites are saying like we were close and we missed out, and which tells me that we were right there, that if it wasn't the Miami Dolphins, and they came through late, if it wasn't the Miami Dolphins, it was probably going to be the Detroit Lions. So Jalen Ramsey will not be a Detroit Lion. I'm not tripping about it. One, I want you to be here. Two, Brad Holmes wasn't going to cripple the team, and it's time to move on. Like, that's where I'm at. So I trust that Brad Holmes is going to do something to make this defense better. Jalen Ramsey was not it. So I like to see what he's going to do in Miami, though, because the Miami Dolphins, they got to go through the Chiefs. They got to go through the Bills. They got to go through the gauntlet, the Cincinnati Bengals. So they got a long way to go. So I like to see how much he wins. And that's the thing, too. Like, it looks like he might have chose money. He got a ring, though. And a lot of times when you have a ring, you can kind of you take more chances. But he got a ring. For Jalen, it was about money. I heard him say something about he close to family or something like that. And that could be a reason as well. But, it definitely ain't about winning because the Miami Dolphins aren't doing any better than us. So, anyway, that's my time. You guys were right. Sucks, but it is what it is. I don't mind being wrong. It's more about Micah Parsons than anything and hearing his mouth and stuff like that. He would be better just to be quiet. So, anyway, free agency starts tomorrow, the tampering period. So, we'll be live talking about every move the Detroit Lions make. So, look forward to that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. And as always, go Lions.